eyes and bloodshot eyes. He stayed up and watched the Super Bowl. I was almost a little jealous, thinking my brother's up there with my dad right now. I had better seats than I did. My mother had 4 sisters and 2 brothers. That's 7 aunts and uncles. Our father had 4 brothers, 3 sisters. That's 8 and 1. So there's 15 aunts and uncles that we had to live with. All 4 of our grandparents immigrated to this country from a beautiful little town called Piedmont, up in the hills of Genoa, Italy, northern Italy. They came to this country by just leaving everything behind, and they just got on a boat and headed to America. It's not like you get on a Concorde plane, fly to America, if you don't like it, fly back. They just left everything there and settled in the Detroit area, along with many, many other friends from the same area, probably because they shared the same language, and they formed a bond called the Piemontese group, or Piedmont group from Italy. As a result of this immediate large family and growing extended family, I was introduced to attending funerals at a very, very young age. I believe the first one that comes to my memory is when I was probably 4 years old, back in around 1946 or 47. It was my Uncle Paul, one of my dad's brothers. And I remember it affected me very, very much at that young age. And that evening, I can remember having to be consoled by my mother, and had a hard time sleeping. But over the years, because of this extended family, you just get used to attending funerals, and you learn protocol, and you learn the right things to say. And you go on from there. I don't in any way want to infer this is about me at all. Certainly it isn't. But I feel a little bit right now like the 4-year-old little boy. I never lost a brother before. And I just mentioned this to gain your understanding, and if I somehow falter in my delivery today. L-O-V-E, love. My brother always talked about love. Madonna didn't even know how to spell it last night. She was kind of. But I recall a conversation that we had, how we were going to celebrate the passing of my mother from this very church, and he said to me, "Oh, we got to talk about love. The theme's got to be about love. Everything's got to be about love." And I couldn't then. I probably still can't today, because I have a very simple mind and a simple brain. I could get my brain around the word love and the context and how it's used so often. People love pizza, people love Detroit Tigers, people love Red Wings, people love Michigan football. So what I would like to talk about today is another word that I think best describes, or does describe, and I think you will all agree, and that's G-O-O-D, good. My brother was a good man. And you can't start to speak about his goodness without recalling his father, my father. Their personalities were so similar, so intertwined. You can't begin to say how good a person is without bringing the original Joe Bagnasco into the conversation. I remember at Ford answering a survey, one of those surveys that they would give you, somebody in HR would dream up just to justify their job. And one of the questions on there was, is there a person in your life who is very significant in simple. I just put down because he taught me how to live. He taught me as well how to die. And that came to mind when I started thinking about the goodness of my brother and my father. All through my life, I've encountered on numerous occasions being introduced, maybe it was to a member of the extended family or something, and they say, what's your name? I said, "Oh, my name's Tom Bagnasco." And they said, "Are you Joe Bagnasco's son?" And I would say, "Yeah." And they would say, "You are really lucky. That is a good man. You have a wonderful father." And I would just swell with pride. And I imagine some of his children, my brother's children, have already been through something very similar. I remember growing up, my brother, first of all, I was, even as a youngster, I cannot stand discrimination of any sort. I can't stand it. That's just the way I was. I was always the one standing up for and fighting the bullies who were picking on the fat girl in class, or the skinny kid with buck teeth and ears, and I would always step in. And I got in a lot of scrapes that way. I like to fight when I was younger, so that was a good way to do it. I recall one time I ran into two pretty good-sized bullies that I knew I couldn't handle. I wasn't going to make it. Anyway, I said, "Okay, guys," I said, "if you beat me up, I'll get my big brother to handle you." And they said, "Well, yeah, who's your big brother?" And I said, "Joe Bagnasco." And they went, "Whoa, really? He's a good guy. You know him. He's a good man. You know what, punk? You're lucky. You're lucky today to have a brother like that." And I went, "Whoa, I was lucky. My brother just got me off of getting my skinny little ass kicked. Or at least going home with an industrial strength wedgie." But again, it was his goodness that personified itself again. I've known people, maybe you have too, I don't know, whose personalities just convey hostility. I know a person one time who could just walk in a room and you could just feel the hostility above their head like a little cloud, like that character in Peanuts, Big Pen. And they'd walk in the room and the whole crowd in the room would just go silent because they knew he was pissed off about something. They knew he was bringing hostility into that room. It was a weird feeling. Just the opposite with my brother. He'd walk into the room and he'd bring a cloud of goodness above his head. He didn't walk into a room and beat his chest and give him lectures or anything like that, or taking over cameras. He just walked in the room and people would want to be near him. They'd want to seek his counsel. And it's just amazing how he just lived his life and taught and conveyed goodness. Right now, specifically, I'd like to address those grandchildren, not just biological grandchildren, but all the grandchildren that he gathered who thought of him as a grandfather. I would include his kids, but I think they've already figured out what I'm about to say. So what I'd like for you grandkids to do, use your imagination. Just pretend no one else is in this church except you and I. And I'm talking specifically to you. As you grow older, you're going to find that life gets pretty tough. You're going to encounter a lot of problems. It can be, the problems are going to vary in scope and size. Could be social isolation, job loss, substance abuse, alcohol, drugs, trouble with your family, your marital trouble. Things are going to happen. Believe me, I know it from experience. It's not so much to try to prevent it as it is how to deal with it. You're going to have to deal with it mentally. And part of dealing with it, you can just remember your grandfather and remember how good he was and how he dealt with that sort of thing. And the other thing is, you have a wonderful, wonderful grandmother who just went through a terrible emotional loss and period. And you gotta be there for her. You gotta help her. And I don't mean just shoveling the snow and cutting the grass. I mean emotionally help her. She thinks she's strong, and she is. But I know her. I know her. So you gotta help her, and you gotta remember how your grandfather would have handled those problems that are gonna come at you, and bring them into that. Someday, maybe you'll get a survey and you have to write down who was one of the greatest persons that influenced your life, and you'll be able to say, my grandfather, Joe Bagnasco, because he taught me how to live, and he taught me how to die. Thanks for your attention. Thanks for coming again. I'll leave you with the thought that I always, many of you have heard before, and it goes like this. None of us know whose hand will be stroking us and comforting us during the last few seconds and moments of our life on this earth. This alone should be reason enough for all of us to be kind to strangers. Thank you.
Okay, you're on.
All right, Frank. It's about time you grow up and start eating and take care of yourself.
And behave. Quit chasing your wife around those rooms.
The best thing about getting older, you'll get there if you take your time and eat.
Should he be drinking more wine?
More wine, yeah, that'll help.
More wine like this right here.
Toast to Joey.
More wine. Here's some other people. Here's young Paulette, Mr. Rick, and Uncle Leonard, Fortis's wife. Got her name, and this is, you got him in the picture?
Oh, John Paul.
Oh, there he is. Look at that. That shiny head. This is John Paul. We'll call him Chrome Dome. Hey.
Hey, man.
You notice Rick's hair? That totally sucks.
No bad hair days.